Hey guys, in this video, we'll talk about how to choose a web server for your needs. For example, for hosting a project, for web development, and so on. I'll share my experience on how I do it. Maybe you'll find this interesting and useful. So, I've been using the services of the German data center Hetzner for over 10 years, and I must say that it has been a reliable experience for quite a long time. What I like here are the affordable and competitive prices, high performance and robust servers, and the user interface, and excellent customer support. So, using the services of this data center is quite convenient, which makes it even more user-friendly. A few years ago, they developed a special panel for managing virtual servers. In terms of convenience, I have not seen anything better. If you compare it, for example, to services from Amazon, it's like night and day. And the price is also about 10 times different. That's why I recommend it. And the price is also about 10 times different. That's why I recommend it. So what options do we have for choosing a server? Well, let's say we need a physical server. A physical server is hardware, right? This is the server that isn't virtual, but in the classic sense. It's also called a dedicated server. We can go into this menu item. Here we have a few options. Server Finder. Here you can apply various types of different filters and easily find a wide range of servers as per your preference. Auction server, as well as the X line, AX line, RX line, SX line, and GPU line server line. SLine, XS line, Rex line, C line. And also branded servers, for example, from Dell and others. They're a bit more expensive. You see the price starts at $233 a month. For most projects, entry-level servers are actually enough. This is, for example, this X server. We're going in here, and here we have 4 distinct models to choose from, each offering unique features and capabilities. What I particularly like is that these servers can be configured to meet specific needs and preferences. You see, the configuration button is prominently displayed and is being ordered for easy access. You can simply click on it to start customizing your server settings. And here we see that you can choose the country of placement, the data center location. In this case, Germany and Finland are offered as options. I know that the company Hetzner recently opened data centers in the United States and Singapore. You see, you can choose an IP address, whether you need it or not, if you can do without it. If you choose one of the 4 versions, it will be a bit cheaper. You can choose the operating system. You can choose a control panel. You can choose either cPanel or Plesk as your preferred choice of control panel based on Alma, Linux, Debian, Ubuntu, Windows Server, and other popular operating systems. However, I usually prefer to go for unmanaged panels because they offer more flexibility and control. I often choose a new distribution, specifically the basic Libyan distribution, which comes without any unnecessary programs installed that I don't need. This allows me to customize and optimize the system according to my specific requirements and preferences. There's an option to increase the RAM from 64 GB to 128 GB, 204 GB to 128 GB. But you do have to pay a monthly fee, which is $90 a month. For this server, the price is actually quite low. You'll just have plenty of RAM. You can install, for example, Proxmox and set up a lot of virtual machines on this server. But there's one catch, something I'm missing here. Everything seems to be great, but what's missing is disk space. So you see that the server has 4 slots, and 2 of them are occupied by SSDs, unfortunately, with a small capacity of 512 gigabytes. For the modern world, that's really a small amount, considering that usually disks in servers are set up in a RAID system, meaning the disks are mirrored, like exactly. So it turns out you really only have 520 gigabytes. If you want to increase it, you'll need to add extra drives. It's good that there's such an option, of course, And the options are presented right here, as you can see, right? Basically, you don't have to install an NVMe SSD, even though they're faster. For most tasks, a regular SATA SSD will do just fine. Here you can add, for example, yes, you see it's telling me that I need to choose an operating system that's not Debian, but a server without an operating system, which you can then install manually. By the way, Hetzner also offers a special script for this. So installing the operating system on the server is really easy. So what can I choose? I can't add another one, or rather, I can add one more NVMe drive, and in this case, I was even able to add two. You see, each one costs $20 a month, well, for 2 gigabytes. So I'll have about 2 terabytes and 400 gigabytes of memory if I go with 2512 and two of 1.9 terabytes here. It'll be cheaper if you choose a SATA drive. It's €6 a month cheaper. If 2 drives are $12 a month less, you can decide for yourself if it's worth it or not. For most applications, the difference is basically insignificant. If you take 3.8 terabytes, look, it costs $46, and this one costs $42. So there's a $4 difference, but it's really laughable. Alright, let's say take 2 drives for 3.8 terabytes. This is the amount of data storage capacity that we currently have available on our server. You see, the cost for this service is currently set at a rate of $160 per month. We've already strayed quite a bit from the original base price of $47. I think this is definitely negative. Just a moment, but I'll show you how to get around this issue right now. We just simply need to choose a different server, because if we take a server from the same line, but a somewhat larger one, like this one, you see, as you can clearly see, indeed. In fact, we had approximately $160 per month, and here we actually get $152 each and every single month in total. It already has 128 gigabytes of memory and 2 extremely large and spacious SSD drives. Or you can take, for example, a server for $94 a month, and you also get 2 SSD drives of 1.9 terabytes each, such as, in my opinion, it's more cost effective than upgrading this basic server. But I'll show you another interesting option right now. This is a server auction. You see, there's this interesting point here. I haven't really seen anything like this in other data centers. The thing is, since Hetzner is a pretty big provider, there are always people and companies that cancel their servers and order new ones. Hetzner also offers a service for custom server configuration, so you can ask them to add a disk to the server. So the servers end up with a bit of a custom configuration in such a way that it results in a situation where, and here in this server auction, you can see that next to each server, here's one server, another server, and here are its specifications. Time is ticking in a manner that is gradually and steadily like this. As time approaches 0, the price of the server goes down over time. There is some lower limit, but basically, if no one else orders the server, you can get it. The main advantage here is as follows. You get the server service without having to pay a one-time fee, which means that you only pay a monthly subscription rate. Additionally, recently, it has become possible that you can even pay by the hour. So for example, you might only need this server for a week or even just a day. You can order it, such as if you wish, and cancel at any time without any hassle or inconvenience at your convenience whenever you feel like it. So that's pretty great. And it's cheaper than renting, for example, some virtual server. Because a virtual server with that kind of power costs you more. Oh right. Another important thing is that Hetzner has an API, So you can basically get a token and order servers through the API, meaning automatically. And then, with the help of special scripts, you can configure your servers and connect them to your system. So, if you expect a heavier load on the system, you can automatically order new servers through the API and cancel them when you no longer need them. And I'll tell you, it will be way cheaper than, for example, AWS from Amazon. In my opinion, based on my experience, the price differs by 10 to 12 times. Do you understand? As for reliability, I can say that I've been using Hetzner for over a decade. I've had my share of experiences, but I'm satisfied. I'm happy. I don't see any problems. I've been using Hetzner for over a decade. I've had all sorts of experiences in my life, and I must say, I'm truly happy. Happy and content. I don't see any problems at all. Let me personally show you now the type of server that I have liked. For example, you have to understand that not all of them can satisfy your needs, of course. For example, what is this? Two 256GB SSDs. Well, that's very little, a very small disk. Here we have a filter, and we can set it to, for example, that we need at least 1 terabyte, and we need either SATA or NVMe SSD. You see, for this server, for example, the price is going to drop soon. We see that it has 1 terabyte SSD and 2 of 512GB SSDs. I wonder how much the price will drop. Let's take a look. Just a few more seconds left to wait, so please be patient. Additionally, you also need to pay close attention to the exact location of where this server is situated. This particular one right here, that is the specific data center code. I think this one is responsible for Germany. So look, the price is $54.90 right now. How is it going to be? Let's take a moment to refresh the page and see if that helps. The price dropped by $1. Not by much, just slightly. However, in a couple of days, it will drop another dollar or so a month. So that's how it all works. Well, of course, you need to mirror the data on the production server. That's why I'm looking for a server that has at least 2 SSDs of approximately 1 terabyte each in total. Better if it's around 2 terabytes in size. It's not very interesting for now. You see 2 at 12. See, for example, quite interesting, $60 a month. 2 solid-state drives, SSDs of approximately 1 terabyte each. Let's take a look at the details. 64 gigabytes of RAM, 2 NVMe SSDs and 1 SATA SSD, 2 NVMe SSDs of 1 TB and 1 SATA SSD with almost 2 TB is already pretty good. But sometimes for just 1-2 more you can get a much better server. Let's take a look at more. Says it maybe. For example, here's one at 6890, just 8 more. What do you get? For example, 6890. For 8 or more, what do you get? The processor in this case is a bit weaker, but I would say you get something comparable here in terms of both performance and storage capacity, which is quite impressive, with 512 GB and 1 terabyte, while here you have 2 terabytes. Let's take a look a little further. So ECC memory candidate, track auction daily, options change. In summary, the candidate you have here is quite impressive overall. One of the standout features is the inclusion of ECC memory, which is a significant advantage. This feature ensures data integrity and reliability, making it a valuable asset. Given these positive attributes, it would be prudent to continue exploring other options to ensure the best possible choice. In general, you really need to keep a close eye on this auction on a daily basis, because the selection of servers you get is frequently and continuously changing as the market evolves. And, as I said, one of the main advantages is that you can do it by the hour. You need a server? Got it. You don't need it. Here's an interesting candidate at 11690. You get a lot of memory and disk space. You can set up RAID with 2 disks, or you really get a lot of memory. And disk space, I think that's cool. You can set up RAID with 2 disks, or use a CTFS system and ECC memory. The processor could definitely be a bit more powerful, but depending on what you're using, you might not notice a drop in performance. And look, for 100, you get 64 GB of memory, while there it's 128 GB. 64 GB is also pretty good, but 128 GB is better. What other alternatives are there? You could take 2 basic servers, the cheapest ones available, each with 64 GB. Approximately 100 GB of memory there, and 128 GB here. 64 GB is also pretty good, but 128 GB is better. What other alternatives are there? You can certainly take 2 very fundamental servers, the most affordable ones available, each with 64 GB indeed. We're actually turning on Germany. You take 2 servers instead of 1 big one. What are the advantages? The advantage is that you'll have greater performance. You can do load balancing and Proxmox by combining them into a cluster. You can learn to manage servers, moving virtual machines from one server to another. It often happens that a virtual machine that requires a lot of disk space doesn't need a very powerful processor, while one that requires less space needs a stronger processor. So you can dynamically adjust the load yourself. This means that you have the flexibility to manage and control the server load according to your specific needs and requirements. If you take this basic standard server, for instance, if you opt for this basic standard server configuration, you have the option to request Hetzner to add more RAM at any time, whenever you find it necessary or beneficial, or you can add another disk there. You can do this at any time, not just at the very beginning. Well, that's basically a basic overview of the data center that I've been using for many years. If you are interested, please feel free to write any and all of your questions in the comments below. I will try to answer as soon as possible. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, where you will learn a lot of useful and interesting tips and valuable advice like this from me. Alright, talk to you later. Bye everyone.